Greetings, this is Sean, and today I'm going to be making this little window. Actually, it's a pretty good sized window for this building, but anyway. um, this is what I decided to do, a little stained glass, and here's how I went about doing it. Just like the window before, the one that goes over the door, I measured out the size of it and cut the 6 to length, and I already painted them, obviously. And here I'm just going to start gluing them up, and I will be using some acrylic like I did in the last one, except I've got some mica powder that I'm going to be making. I have 4 different colors of mica powder that I'm going to be using to kind of swirl them all together. And as you probably saw in that original picture there that you saw, I did try to make my little mannequin into it, but as you'll see later on, I did it upside down. So, oops. Anyway, he's still in the picture, still in the stained glass, but he's gonna be upside down. Anyway, pretty straightforward, same as before. I just gluing the frame together, and then I'll pour the acrylic. No gears in this one. And here I was getting ready to try and square it up, and then I realized I don't need to square it up because the top of the frame is actually narrower than the bottom of the frame. So I don't really need to worry about squaring it up on this one. So I'm just trying to make the top and bottom as parallel as possible once I get them all glued together, as you'll see. And then the sides will be, off kilter a little bit. The bottom is wider than the top. The bottom is 3 1/4 inches wide, and the top is 3 1/16 inch wide. So I just gotta let that dry, which I'm doing here, and now I'm going to be using the same resin as before, acrylic resin, the clear coat by Aluminite. It's a 1-to-1 by volume. Didn't really think about it, but I had plenty of time. There's the mica powders that I'm going to use to color it. But I didn't think about it before, but I started mixing up the resin, as you'll see here in a minute, and I didn't have my hot glue gun turned on. I didn't have my frame glued down to the plastic that I'm going to use for the underneath side. And I was like, I hope I don't run out of time. But anyway, I had plenty of time. I think it's got like a half an hour and a 45-minute working time, so it was okay. It worked out. I did have a little bit of a blowout, as I'm not sure if you're going to see or not. I don't know if I cut that part out of it or not, but when I made just enough. It's amazing that I just guessed at how much I was going to need, and that's how much I needed. So I got lucky there. Didn't have any leftovers. Did have a lot of bubbles though, but they all dissipated at the end, except in the back. It still had a bunch of bubbles, as you'll see when I show you at the end. But this resin's actually pretty good for not having too many bubbles in it. So here I'm taking the frame and putting it on the plastic, which I'll glue down like I did before. And that plastic is just off of a plastic food container. I think it had a salad or something in it, cookies maybe, I don't remember. Anyway, hot glue gun's not hot yet. So I'm going to go ahead and start mixing up the resins. I'm dividing that one into 4 different cups, and I'm using a blue, a green, a kind of a coppery red color, and then a pearly white color is what I'm using. Here I am gluing down the frame with the hot glue gun, of course. Just making sure that it's sealed up nice and well like before, so that none of the epoxy runs out of it. But what happens later on, and like I said, I don't know if I showed you this or not on here, but when I was using my lighter to take away the bubbles, the surface bubbles, I held it in one area a little bit too long, and that corner where my thumb or my fingers are at right now kind of had a little blowout, and some of the epoxy started coming out. But it was just a slow trickle, and it didn't go all over the place, so I got lucky. That's why I messed up with it. I should have turned the part that's at the top should be at the bottom, because that part that's at the top is actually the bottom of the stained glass, so oops. Yeah, I'm just randomly putting in the acrylic. Put most of the green in first. There's still a little bit left in there. Now I'm doing a little bit of white. No plan for this. I just put in whatever I decided to put in there. Making sure it all spreads around as best as I can. Blue will be next. Here's where I decide I'm going to make a little replication of my miniature, or my marionette. Just take the rest of it, just to fill it up a little bit more, and let it dry overnight. Here I'm taking the white and putting it inside of him, but most of it sank down into the bottom of it. But it's okay. That's it. Here I'm just tapping it to try and get some of the bubbles to come up to the top, but it is somewhat transparent. After it gets done, I think you'll be able to see there. I'm blowing the bubbles away with my lighter. So anyway, there it is. You can see down there in the bottom left-hand corner the blowout that I had. But like I say, it wasn't that bad. And like I say, you can kind of see through it a little bit. So here, anyway, I'm just taking the plastic off now so I can get ready to install it. This is the next morning. This is the morning right now that I'm, on Monday morning is where I'm doing this. There's the back. Ugly. But that's okay. It'll be on the inside. Here I'm just cleaning off the glue. Like I said in my previous one, I'm not worried about the sides being scratched up and whatnot, because they're going to be hidden by the frame of the door anyway. So, anyway, that's the... Here, next I'm getting ready to put it into the door frame. That's when I realized I had it upside down. So anyway, I've got to take this one piece of wood off here so I can install it correctly. And then I'll end up putting it back on later. And right there, see, it's upside down. Oops. It didn't quite fit right either. It was still a little bit crooked and a little bit wonky and a little bit too wide, and the frame there down in the bottom left corner, you can see it's got a little bit of wood left in it, which I need to cut out here in a little bit. And here I'm just trimming up the corners. I didn't have them all the way lined up right. So I'll eventually here take a sanding block and sand down the sides a little bit more, just to give it a little bit of extra space to work with. And it ended up being a little bit too long too, so I end up having to kind of flex it a little bit, which you'll see, to make it fit properly. But anyway, it almost fits, but as you can see down, like I said, down at the bottom, gotta cut that one part out to make it fit properly. I was trying to be so careful so I didn't have a blowout like I did on the other one. Anyway, here I am sanding the sides. And I think this is when I realized I need to cut that bottom part out a little bit more too. And there I'm flexing it to make it fit. And it fit, and it was a nice tight fit, so I didn't have to add much glue, which I did a little bit at the top because it was a little bit loose in that corner. Then I did a little bit more along the sides just to help keep it in, and there it is. Now I'm just going to put that board back in place, and I'm not going to put the top board back in place. I'm going to leave it off. So, anyway, that's it. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I think my next project is going to be, or next part of this is going to be doing the landscaping, finishing that up so I can get the fish tank installed later on too. So, anyway, hope you enjoyed this, and hope everybody's safe and happy and healthy, and see you in the next one. As always, have a better day, as I always say.